I'm not even sure if I'll post this video, but I really need to just express this. The union that I found with someone in particular, I guess the feelings that I'm processing are the feelings of loss and how a complete lack of control about how a situation turns out. And I guess within that, it's the realization that there's a very small amount of control that we have, and it's over how we feel. But do we even have control over how we feel? This is what I'm processing right now, because it doesn't feel like I'm controlling what I'm feeling. It's just happening. And within that, I'm pushing away what I feel because it doesn't feel very nice. And the not nice feeling is a lack of control. So if the not nice feeling is the lack of control, so what is the actual feeling that I don't have control over? And it's loss. I feel like I'm losing someone in a way that I don't want to lose them. And I don't even know if it's true. It's just what's coming up within me. The feeling of loss, the feeling of previous choices amounting to the result of separation. And I feel like it's my choice, my previous choices, but also theirs. And then when we get to this point where things change to what we actually initially thought we wanted or intended, it's a great reminder that we're really not in control of a lot of the things that we think we are in control of. And one of them is how our feelings change. And I guess what's becoming apparent to me now as I'm expressing this is that the control within that, the aspect that we do have control over, is allowing ourselves to be in that experience. Allowing ourselves to feel that loss of control over how we feel. And the loss of control over how we feel is the vulnerability within the situation. And being vulnerable is scary. And that's what happens when we feel. When we feel something, especially for something external, there is the possibility that it may be taken away, and it has the opportunity to affect how we feel. And is this wrong? No. Avoiding this feeling would be avoiding feeling altogether. And I've done that for a long time in so many ways when it comes to love and joy. Because allowing ourselves to feel feelings like love and joy is acknowledging that we're not always going to feel like that. That there's a possibility and the probability of it changing and it being either taken away or altered based on a decision that's not our own. When a feeling involves another person, that feeling isn't our own anymore. It puts us in that vulnerable state where we are basically putting part of ourselves in the hands of another. And what does this mean? Does this mean that we sit in sheltered space and not allow ourselves to put our hands in another? To put ourselves in the hands of another? Or does it mean that we go into that vulnerable place and we allow ourselves to feel and take a chance on whatever happens from that feeling? Right now, I recognize this feeling, and it's the feeling that I want to run to avoid feeling. And which means I'm pushing away the feelings that are existing within me because I'm scared that, which is fear, that those feelings that I feel can be altered or changed by another person. And it's true because, on this path we say, oh, you're the only one who controls how you feel. But paradoxically, like everything else, that's not entirely true. It is in the sense that you control how you feel about how someone else feels, but how you feel when it comes to these feelings of love and joy is like hanging yourself out in the middle of a thunderstorm. And are you going to get blown away? Is it going to dissipate? Are you going to get battered and bruised and torn? Or is the sun just going to come out and shine on you? Is it going to be a glorious day? You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. And so do you not put yourself out in that place? Because to use the same metaphor, if the sun does come out and the birds start singing and the flowers open, surely that experience was worth sacrificing the fear and going into it to allow yourself to experience that wonder. But if you hang yourself out there and the storm comes and it batters you and it tears you down and you end up a crumpled mess on the floor, was it still worth it? I guess what's arising now is the judgment between what feelings are good and what are bad, and what we avoid and what we cling to, what we want and what we push away. Because when it comes down to it, honoring what we actually feel is the only real way. This is what I'm hearing now. So how do I feel in this moment? I feel like I'm hanging myself out in this storm. And I have no idea what's going to happen. And I feel like the other person is too. And when we realize that the other person is the tempest or the radiant sun, who is in some way deciding our fate in this situation of this vulnerability that we that we step into when we allow somebody the space within us, the ability to be able to be hurt, rejected, loved. It's scary. It's scary. And you know what? For so long, the idea of love just wasn't enough to face this fear. I would rather stay inside than see the sunshine. But now, I don't know. I don't know. All I can do is honor what I'm feeling. And I'm feeling that I don't want this to end. But I can not want it to end. And I can say how I feel and I can feel how I feel. Or I can not want it to end and I can run before it ends, which is normally my go-to. But that's not honoring how I feel, because I don't want to run. That's just the fear. The fear that the storm's going to come and tear me down. But what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't this time? What if it doesn't? And what if it does? At least I weathered it. I weathered the storm. I didn't back down on how I felt, and I didn't stay inside, and I didn't run and hide. I let myself feel. I let myself be vulnerable. And I was honest.